Earlier, I did a video where I mentioned self-talk as a technique to curb self-doubt. And it's a great tool for those moments when doubt creeps in. But I've realized something since then. Self-talk isn't just about managing self-doubt in the moment. It's about something much bigger. It's about building internal core strength. It's about developing self-trust and self-confidence from the inside out. I want to share my experience with this because it's been a game changer for me. And I want to be really specific about how I've been doing it because the details matter. Let me start with self-talk. When I first started doing self-talk, I'll be honest, it felt a bit silly. I'd stand in front of the mirror and say things like, I am confident, I am capable, I trust myself. And it felt hollow, like I was pretending, like I was saying words I didn't actually believe. But I kept going, because I'd read about how self-talk works. I knew that your brain doesn't always distinguish between what's real and what's repeated. If you tell yourself something enough times, your brain starts to believe it. It's not magic. It's neuroplasticity. It's building new neural pathways. And slowly, over time, something shifted. The words started to feel less hollow. I started to feel a tiny flicker of belief behind them. Not because I was pretending, but because I was building evidence. Every time I did something that aligned with the words, every time I spoke up, every time I said no, every time I trusted myself, I was adding evidence. And the self-talk was reinforcing that evidence. But here's the thing. For self-talk to really work, it needs to be consistent. So I made it compulsory. Right after I wake up, I do it. And right before I go to bed, I do it again. Those are the two non-negotiable moments. Morning and night. Every single day. Why morning? Because it sets the tone for the day. It primes my brain to be confident, capable, and trusting of myself before I even step into the world. It's like putting on armor before going into battle. And why night? Because it reinforces the message before I sleep. It's the last thing my brain processes before it rests. And during sleep, your brain consolidates memories and patterns. So I'm literally reinforcing the self-talk while I sleep. Now, here's the most important part. Always use positive form. Always. This is a game changer. Instead of saying, I am not nervous, say, I am calm. Instead of saying, I am not afraid, say, I am courageous. Instead of saying, I do not doubt myself, say, I trust myself. Why? Because your brain doesn't process the negative well. When you say, I am not nervous, your brain still hears nervous. It focuses on the word. But when you say, I am calm, your brain focuses on calm. It's a way of programming your mind with the state you actually want to be in. So I started with, I am calm. I am clear. I trust myself to handle whatever comes my way. I said it every morning and every night. And slowly, over time, it started to sink in. Now, meditation. At the same time I started self-talk, I also started meditating. Nothing complicated at first. Just 5-10 minutes a day of sitting quietly, focusing on my breath, and observing my thoughts without judgment. At first, my mind was chaos. Thoughts racing everywhere. Doubts, worries, plans, regrets. I couldn't focus for more than a few seconds. But I kept going. Because I'd read that meditation strengthens the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and self-awareness. And I could see why. Every time I noticed my mind wandering and gently brought it back to my breath, I was training my brain to be more present, more focused, less reactive. But here's something I learned. It's helpful to have a focus when you meditate. So before you start, think about what you want to explore, what you want to overcome, what manifestation you want to target. Of course, you can also use meditation simply as a way to relax. And that's completely valid. But if you're using it like me, to deal with specific manifestations, then it helps to be intentional. For me, I started noticing that many of my manifestations felt deeply rooted. My freeze response, my fear of authority, my lack of self-trust. They didn't feel like surface-level habits. They felt like they came from somewhere deeper. So I did some research, and I found that past life regression meditation might be helpful for this. I was curious, so I tried it. I found a guided meditation for past life regression, and I committed to doing it consistently. Now, here's something important I learned. Never force yourself to find an answer or a solution right away. In the beginning, you may not feel anything. You might just sit there, listening to the guide, and feel like nothing is happening. That's okay. Don't force it. Don't push. Just be present. Just keep at it. For me, it took several sessions before anything surfaced. And when it did, it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't like a movie. It was just a feeling, a sense of something familiar, a glimpse of something that felt like it was from somewhere else. It was subtle, but it was real. And over time, I started to understand some of my patterns better. I started to see why I freeze, why I avoid authority, why I don't trust myself. It's not that I suddenly had all the answers, but I had a direction, a path to explore. The other thing I learned is this: always meditate when you're calm. Don't do it when you're stressed, anxious, or rushed. It won't work. You'll just end up feeling frustrated. So before I start, I do some deep breathing, a few slow, intentional breaths. Then I set an intention. I say to myself, I am here to explore. I am open to what comes. I trust the process. That intention shifts my mindset. It moves me from, I need to figure this out, to, I am open to discovery. And that makes all the difference. What I've found is that self-talk and meditation work together. Meditation builds the awareness to notice when doubt appears. Self-talk gives you something to replace it with. Meditation creates space. Self-talk fills that space with something more helpful. Together, they build something deeper than just confidence. They build internal core strength, a sense of being grounded in yourself, even when things are uncertain, a feeling that you can rely on yourself no matter what. I'm not saying I've figured it all out. I still have days where self-talk feels hollow. I still have days where my mind is too chaotic to meditate. But I can see the trajectory. I can feel the progress. Slowly, over time, I'm building something real. Something that can't be taken away by a bad day or a difficult conversation.